triangle has had a long association with all things dark and mysterious. A symbol of a community or conspiracy alike. Famously, the triangle represents the Illuminati, a secret organisation who supposedly control the world. But today, I'll be delving into something much more unexplored. The historical mind-boggler, which knocks all other mysteries off the scale. I'm Arthur Goggin, and today we'll be taking a trip into the depths of the Bermuda Triangle. For centuries, the triangle has baffled scientists and historians. As soon as solid evidence is found to dismiss the conspiracy, it gets washed away. But today, I'll be taking a more open view. We'll be discussing storms, hijackings and even aliens to see if we can find the real reason. We begin our journey in the Atlantic Ocean. The triangle links the two islands of Puerto Rico and Bermuda to Miami, enclosing the Bahamas in its grasp. Now over to Raphael Geldsetzer, the expert Bermuda triangulist, who is going to talk us through perhaps the most famous of the triangle disappearances, Flight 19.
At about 2:10 p.m. on the afternoon of the 5th of December 1945, Flight 19, consisting of 5 TBM Avenger torpedo bombers manufactured by the Eastern Aircraft under license from Goggin, departed from the US Naval Air Station, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, on an authorized advanced overwater navigational training flight. They were to execute navigation problem No. 1, which is depart 26 degrees 03 minutes north and 8 degrees 07 minutes west, and flight 91 degrees, distance 56 miles to Hen and Chickens Shoals to conduct low-level bombing. After bombing, continue on course 91 degrees for 67 miles. Flight course 346 degrees, distance 73 miles, and flight course 241 degrees, distance 120 miles. Then returning to the US Naval Air Station, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. In charge of the flight was a senior qualified flight instructor piloting one of the planes. The other planes were piloted by qualified pilots between 350 and 400 hours flight time. A radio message intercepted at about 4 p.m. was the first indication that Flight 19 was lost. This message, believed to be between the leader of the Flight 19 and another pilot in the same flight, indicated that the instructor was uncertain of his position and the direction of the Florida coast. The aircraft also were experiencing malfunction of their compasses. Attempts to establish communications on the training frequency were unsatisfactory due to the interference from Cuba broadcasting stations. All radio contact was lost before the exact nature of the trouble or the location of the flight could be determined. Indications are that the flight became lost somewhere east of the Florida Peninsula and was unable to determine a course to return to their base. The flight was never heard from again, and no traces of the planes were ever found. It is assumed that they made forced landings at sea, in darkness somewhere east of the Florida Peninsula, possibly after running out of gas. All available facilities in the intermediate area were used in effort to locate the missing aircraft and help them return to their base. These efforts were not successful. No trace of the aircraft was ever found, even though the extensive search operation was conducted until the evening of the 10th of December 1945, when further efforts became unusually hazardous. One such aircraft was lost during the operation. A PBM patrol plane was launched at approximately 7:30 p.m. 5th of December 1945 to search for the missing aircraft. The aircraft were never seen or heard from after takeoff. Based upon a report from a merchant ship of Fort Lauderdale, which cited a burst of flame, apparently an explosion, and passed through an oil slick at the time and place, which matched the presumed location of the PBM. It is believed this aircraft exploded at sea and sank at approximately 28 to 59 north, 80 to 25 west. No trace of the plane or its crew was ever found.
There have been many disappearances and lots of thoughts behind them. But today in the programme we'll be discussing aliens, human error, and And, of course, raging squirrels. Oh, no, that doesn't happen. Yeah, moving swiftly onwards. Aliens are, of course, a popular theory. So let's take a look at the odds of extraterrestrial interference.
Tiny.
In more detail.
Very tiny.
Okay, I think we've ruled that out. Now on to human error.
One of the most cited explanations in official inquiries as to the loss of any aircraft vessel is human error. Human stubbornness may have caused businessman Harvey Conville to lose his sailing yacht, the Revenant, as he sailed into the teeth of a storm south of Florida on January 1st, 1958.
And finally, and let's face it, this is the conclusion. So this is our conclusion. Sulfur deposits. The boring one, but nevertheless the one which is probably the most true. It alters the viscosity of the water, which makes the ship sink or sailors drown and breaks the ship's hulls and things. Yeah, it's all very boring.
An explanation for some of the disappearances has been focused on the presence of large fields of methane hydrates, a form of natural gas, on the continental shelves. Laboratory experiments carried out in Australia have proven that bubbles can, indeed, sink a scale model ship by decreasing the density of the water. Any mercury consequently rising to the surface will be rapidly dispersed by the Gulf Stream. It has been hypnotized that periodic methane eruptions, sometimes called mud volcanoes, may produce regions of frothy water that are no longer capable of providing adequate buoyancy for ships. If this were the case, such an area forming around the ship would cause it to sink very rapidly and without warning. Publications by the USGS describe large stores of undersea hydrates worldwide, including the Blake Ridge area off the southeastern United States coast. However, according to the USGS, no large releases of gas hydrates are believed to have occurred in the Bermuda Triangle for the past 15,000 years.
Yeah, we've come to our conclusion. Boring old sulfur deposits, but at the same time the most realistic. Of course, not pirates or human error. Couldn't cause so many deaths, or even giant squid. Good night.
Squid!